Fantasy Doop. Today on Doop by the River, we're going to recap that Atlanta match. What a match it was down in the A. If only the Sixers would have done the same. We're also going to preview the Columbus Crew match. It's tomorrow. We have a midday match. Things are finally getting back to normal. We got a full capacity. We're going to bring this all to you, and don't you dare go anywhere because you do not want to miss this episode of Doop by the River. And let's get this started, guys. Dale! And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Doop by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. Brought to you by Philly Sports Network. What's up, everyone? We are finally back. It was a short week for us. Like we obviously did Thursday. Now we're back here Tuesday, guys. We're back to the normality. We're back to Tuesday. Only Tuesday and Thursday this week because we do have a midweek match. A lot of soccer going on for the Philadelphia Union. Obviously, they have 3 matches this week. So seriously, thank you so much, guys, for tuning on in. It's only me and my man Justin Freiberg. Let me introduce to you today as he's going by Bag, aka Bald against Guzan. Justin, what's going on, baby? How you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I'm as you can tell, I'm not in the location I usually am. I'm in my new digs, my new crib.
Yes, sir.
Feeling like an adult right now. Ready to talk about another spicy Atlanta game. Ready to preview a midweek Columbus game. I mean, midweek soccer. It's nice to have that back. And who knows? We might get into some hot takes.
Yeah, man.
I mean, not that we don't normally, but you know, they might be a little spicier.
We'll definitely be bringing all that in. We have a lot of special guests. Justin, the people want to know. You going to Chicago?
Okay, listen, Heather. Heather knows especially because I was asking her a lot about getting a trip to Chicago. But yes, I will be in Chicago with Tommy, with our boy Tommy.
Hey,
and we're gonna be going to the White Sox game, going to the Red Stars game, and the Union game. So.
How'd your kids? How'd your wives?
Yeah, I'll be. Listen. Philly's taking over Chicago.
Hey, we usually do. AK Gamer, what's going on? Thank you so much for tuning on in. I can't wait to see you on Thursday's episode to talk about the Fire, man. Poland plays tomorrow.
I know there's 4 games. There's 2 at 12 and 2 at 3.
Well, I'm sorry, AK Gaming. The Polish striker is playing in Chester tomorrow. So
yeah, the best Polish striker isn't even at the Euros. So you know.
Yeah, exactly how they're like that one. Hey, okay, I like that. So I don't know about you, Justin. So Sunday was a whirlwind. Of course, it was also Father's Day. So shouts to all the Doop dads out there. But to start it off on Sunday, it was obviously beat Atlanta Day. You know, playing Atlanta in the afternoon, playing Atlanta at night in both 2 of the 5 sports that we have here in Philadelphia. And it was, we'll get to that match, but the result happened. And then the Sixers, right? And the biggest duds of the biggest duds, losing in game 7. We're not going to get to that game, but it's crazy because there's so much negativity around the Sixers. You know, it's, trade Ben, Joel can't get it done, Doc ain't the coach. And there's so much negativity. This is what Philadelphia wants to talk about right now. But Justin, as Philly sports fans that we are, there is a prime team in Philadelphia that is willing to win for us. And the season is close to the midway point, but still, like, we're still off the high of Supporter Shield. Dude, they're in semifinals of Champions League. Like the Sixers, the Phillies, the Flyers, the Eagles will never compete in a North American competition and represent Philadelphia the same way the Union are about to do in August. And you listen to WIP, which I'm sorry if you do, you listen to 975 The Fanatic, there's barely any talk about the Union. It's ridiculous. They're still talking about 975 The Fanatic. As much as I love that station, it's the only station I'll listen to in Philadelphia. Like when the Union are in the playoffs or doing some sort of run, they'll hit up 975 The Fanatic. They'll show us a little bit of love. And then like this past couple of weeks with the Sixers, they forget that we have a 5th team here in Philadelphia. And that type of stuff, it hurts us. It just flat out hurts us. And yet we have such a strong fan base that are all a bunch of Philly sports fans. Obviously, we have great podcasters, we have great bloggers, YouTubers, everything, TikTokers that cover the team as well. And yet there is still a group of the fan base in Philadelphia, Philly sports fans, that still just want to neglect this team, man. So Justin, what I want to ask you, like, why should these, I'm gonna call them buffoons, why should these buffoons pay attention to the fifth team in Philadelphia?
Man, where do I start with this? It's so listen, sports radio in general is toxic.
Yes.
I've been around it. You know, I did it in college. I did soccer, play by play broadcasting. I know a lot of the ins and outs. I know how ugly it can be because listen, soccer is not the popular draw in this country. You know, heck, in this city, Preston and Steve on MMR give more coverage to the Union, and they're a talk show. They're a morning talk show. Like
they broke the Rexel friendly.
Yeah, like they broke the Wrexham friendly. They have Seba on pretty regularly. They have Jim called in this week, and you know they're friends with him, and it's one of those things that you're like, wait a minute, why is this? Like I listen to Preston and Steve all the time. I'm like, why are they covering the Union more than a sports radio? But whatever. To Johnny, to really answer your question, I just don't know if I care to cater to, because listen, these fans, these 4-for-4s, are going to create whatever excuse possible to not, even when right now in the last few years the Union have been the only good team in this city, the professional team in this city. Like, it's a straight up joke. So for all these fans who were like, oh, well, I went to London once, so I'm an Arsenal fan. It's like, why are you supporting that league? Like, don't get me wrong. I watch Manchester United. I went to Germany and I saw a team play that just got promoted to the Bundesliga. I'm a fan of them. But I would 100% say I'm a Union fan first. Exactly. Because they're in my backyard. They're a good team. And like, I just don't understand what it is. And listen, we're never going to convince these fans. So you know what? Forget about them. It's not worth our time. It's not worth the effort to go through and try to convince these fans when it's there's confirmation bias. The idea that they're going to find something that's going to confirm whatever bias they have against soccer. So it's not worth the time to confirm these buffoons. Now, if someone legitimately wants to learn, like our
they
guest,
should listen to DOOP by the river.
Yeah, like our guest who will be showing up later. I have no problem helping to instruct someone and teach someone about the rules of soccer and how things are. Because I'm not someone who's like, no, you can't watch our sport. No one wants gatekeepers in fandom. I've always been of the mindset, if someone wants to understand the sport and they want to watch the sport, I will gladly show them all the best parts. Obviously, you're going to tell them, listen, there's ugly parts to every sport, but I'm going to tell them what makes this sport so amazing. I mean, the thrill of watching a last minute equalizer, a late win, the horrors of a last second defeat. Like, soccer is one of those sports where it's 90 minutes, but you go through so many highs and lows. It's insane. People are like, oh, 90 minutes, it's so long, it's so boring. They're just passing it around. It's like
only the shortest time of all of them.
Yeah, like it's like 90 minutes. You honestly, there's times where I'll look up at the clock and it's halfway through, the first half, and I'm like this was really quick. Now there's some games where it's ugly. There's games that ain't pretty, and you're like, okay, man, this half is going on forever. And then there's just one moment just.
I don't think that matters though, because you still get like Philly fans who like, listen, I love all the sports, but I'm sorry, baseball is by far the most boring sport. So of them all. So you can't tell me that, oh, soccer's boring, that's why I don't watch it. Dude, you watch baseball, okay? And if you watch 6 hours of baseball, you can watch a 2-hour soccer game, my man. And there's just so much going on around the field. But that's not the argument here. What we're both trying to get at here, ladies and gentlemen, the Union are the only team in Philadelphia that are giving you consistent play since the Eagles Super Bowl run in 2017. And right now, they're giving you another run in Champions League. I know it's different. I know you're not used to a continental tournament like Champions League, but dude, it's so much friggin' fun. And you're about to watch the Union play in what is Yankee Stadium of North America, or Fenway Park, whatever you want to call it, Lambeau Field. And the Union are going to play in there.
I'd say in a comparison, it's so a lot of people are college football fans. It's like the Rose Bowl. It is that iconic of a stadium in soccer. It is the equivalent of what was historic Crew Stadium in Columbus. An iconic place that has so much history, so much tension, and oh, by the way, it's up in elevation, so it's like playing at Mile High. There's so much history ingrained with that, the struggles of the U.S. national team going to the Azteca. Like, as a U.S. soccer fan growing up, it was always. Traveling there was always a nightmare, and you were hoping for a draw, and it was rare to win. And Heather's right; it's akin to Wembley. There are in every continent there is an iconic stadium. I know down in, I believe in Brazil, it's the Maracanã.
Okay.
There are certain stadiums that are just there is so much history. It's a rich tapestry.
Very nostalgic.
Of iconic soccer moments that you just go, wow, this means a lot. Like, this means a lot to clearly a lot of people. And I think that if other sports fans can't understand the gravity that is that situation, then it's not really worth the time. To me, it's just, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to focus on the fans that, one, I know are interested, and two, fans that may be interested. Right. Because clearly there's a group of people that, you know what, they're not going to care. So why should I waste my time if you're not going to even bother?
Right. I hear that. So for me, the reason why I do five sport coverage here in the city is because of, you were there year one for me when I started doing DOOP by the River, and I started doing Union coverage. After that season was over, I was just like, what do I do now? I don't know, what you do in all seasons now. So I looked at the Philadelphia fan base, and I just thought, how can we grow this fan base as a whole? And then I realized, listen, this fan base works around the 4 Philly sports. So let's grow it. We can be a 5-sport city. It is possible. There are people that do it. And again, if you are someone out there that is on the fence about following this team, then this is your home. This is definitely your home. But let's get to some of the play that's been on the pitch here by our boys here. Speaking of that success that they have been having, so Sunday to start off, what we were calling Beat Atlanta Day. It was Atlanta and Philly in Atlanta in the at the Benz. Now it wasn't sold out, but it was a big crowd. It was certainly a typical Atlanta United crowd. I felt like it was a match where we looked better in the first half. We had some better opportunities. I'm thinking about the Sergio nice chip to Fontana, the nice little kick for a low kick from Kasper Shabilko from that corner there, and the corner of the box. And then in the second half, Atlanta takes advantage of a Kasper mistake, a beautiful Brooks Lennon cross to Anton Walks, and it's 2-0. And I'll be honest, I was at my dad's Father's Day lunch we had at a restaurant. It was pretty dead. I asked the bartender to put the game on. I was the only one at the bar watching Union, and people were just walking by like, is that guy okay? He's watching soccer at a bar right now. And I was like, God damn it, it's done. We just lost points. And then a minute later, Corey Burke puts in the Jamiro rebound. And then in the 92nd minute, Jakob Glesnes with the absolute crack, and the Union take away a point from Atlanta down in the A. Even though it's a draw, we'll definitely take it as a dub here. So, Justin, what I want to do first is I want to get the perspective of the Atlanta side. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my brother from the A, Mr. Marc Nicholls. Marky, baby, it's good seeing you, man.
It's good seeing you too, man. It's always love. I mean,
Always
I hate
love,
talking
brother.
to you after these results, but other than that, it's all love.
At least the Hawks got back at Philly, so.
Yo, man, that was big time. People are excited about that down here.
I bet, man. I bet. I know how Atlanta works, but I guess I'll ask you, man. What did you think of the match, man?
Oh, I think your description is pretty spot on. I thought Philadelphia was definitely the better team in the first half. I even tweeted out that during the first half that I felt like Philly was just getting too many looks in the box, too much. They were putting moves together. They were getting into Atlanta's box more than vice versa. They forced at least one really good save from Brad. Philly had like a really nice move, couple one touches, and then Brad had to come off his line a little bit. That would have been a crazy team goal if they had scored that. But yeah. But I appreciated the way Atlanta United were resilient. Because if you think about it, it was 0-0 at halftime at the last, in the first leg of the CONCACAF series.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how that turned out. So to see Atlanta United score first, and then it was so ironic when we were up 1-0. I turned to AJ and I said, "Look, we need that second goal. I'm not going to feel comfortable till we get that second goal," and we got it. And at that moment, it felt like we got the 3 points. You're thinking this is a big time performance against a good team. I've said this before and I say it again. Union are a very good team, contended for at least top 3 in the East, right? So that's like that would have been a really valuable result. And then Philadelphia go and score right away. And like, that's so frustrating. The wonder goal, you live with it. It's very annoying. It's, oh God, I had a perfect angle for that Glesnes shot too. I mean, I didn't realize it hit the crossbar like twice or 3 times, but
I think like 3 times. It just kept bouncing up and down.
It was the version of the triple doink.
Yo, man, but yeah, I could see, I was sort of on the opposite side of the stadium, so I saw, from behind them, just saw that ball, just arrow into the, man, I couldn't even hate. But that first goal that the Union scored, really frustrating from my perspective, because, Philadelphia cut right through Atlanta's midfield, Atlanta's defense, Brad Guzan spills it. It's just, I think, it's the whole team has to take fault for that one, in my opinion. So,
Mark, I do have to ask though.
Yeah.
So this isn't the first time Jakob has done a crazy rocket shot from deep.
That's what I said.
So when I see Jamiro dump off the ball to Jakob,
yeah,
dude, my man had a whole acre. He could have grabbed a lawn chair and a beer and then shot the shot.
There was
how do you not step up?
10 yards, at least 10 yards, and I'm going.
What?
Glesnes just keep stepping, and I'm like, at some point he can fire it.
Yeah, exactly. Because he takes maybe a couple dribbles and finally just shoots. So Ainsa said something interesting. At about the 70th minute, they subbed in defender Alan Franco for midfielder Franco Ibarra. Now, I thought at the time I was confused by that sub because I was like, don't change the shape, but definitely don't take out a midfielder when your opposition is playing with a diamond. What he said was that Ibarra was taken out because of fatigue. And they're really, if you look at the options in terms of midfield on the bench, you have Mo Adams, who basically hasn't played all season. You have Osetu, who's basically hasn't been available all season. And then we recently lost Emerson Hyman to an ACL injury. So, and that's it. You know what I mean? The other midfielders are already playing. So, it did change the shape a little bit. I guess tried to push Sosa up the field more, but I do think that we ended up paying for that move. And I think in general, there's some tired legs out there. I mean, Miles Robinson's played a lot of minutes, George Bello, Brooks Lennon, even Anton Walks, really. The whole backline's played a lot of minutes. Sosa's played a lot of minutes. So it's, I think that, not to make excuses, but in terms of how Glesnes has as much time, I think that's a big reason why.
Yeah, man. I guess I'll ask from your perspective, Justin. What did you see from the game from the Union side?
So the first half, so I caught I was only able to at least watch live the first half. Because like yourself, I had a Father's Day event, so I kind of at least was able to watch the first half live. And what I noticed was initially was that that both teams were trading counterattacking blows. I mean, it was end to end. It felt like each team was just a little off. Like there were a few times where Brooks Lennon had a great cross to Kubo Torres. There was one, I think Glesnes gets a head on it, and it hits Torres like right in the head, and he was surprised at it, and it bounced right to Andre, who scoops it up, and you could see Kubo just going like, "Oh man!" Like if Glesnes hadn't gotten a tip on that, that's a goal. That's in. And then you have that 1-2 and Fontana. Oh, man, I so wish he had put that away. That was a perfect 1-2 combination.
Yeah, man.
And it goes in. If it goes in, that changes that whole first half. I think it was very back and forth, and I think that could have set up a way more explosive second half. And that second half was already really explosive. I will say. Interesting note was Gabriel Heinze once again gets a yellow card and is now suspended for Atlanta United's midweek game. I can count maybe on one hand the amount of times I've seen a coach suspended for yellow card accumulation. So
has that ever happened in the MLS?
I don't think so. I do not think so.
Not even Connor Casey.
Well, Connor Casey gets red cards. Let's be honest. He got a red card as an assistant in Columbus and as a head coach. So yeah, he only gets red cards. He doesn't half-ass that kind of stuff. But the second half was interesting. I took a look back at the highlights, and it felt like Atlanta. Whatever Heinze said at the halftime talk, it felt like it worked. They were on the front foot. They definitely started pressing. And you know what? Unfortunate goal, own goal from Casper. That's one of those, you can tell he's trying to push that over the bar. Mm-hmm. And from where he was, it was unfortunate. I will say, though, a little weird the way that I believe it was Walks and Robinson were celebrating like they had scored it. Like, don't get me wrong. An own goal is great. But if you they didn't touch it, and I'm like, you can be excited about scoring the goal, but man, you just act like you just headed that thing home. Like, calm that down just a little bit. And then for a while, it was back and forth. Union make a few subs. It's on a knife's edge. That next goal was obviously crucial. Anton Walks fires home a header unmarked, which is. For the Union set piece defense is rare. That is one thing they've been better at this season, especially given their height, has been set piece marking. So that was a bit shocking. And so I'm going, look at my phone going, oh no, like what? Like it's one of those like, man, I really wish. And then next thing I know, I'm watching it going, Corey, and I watched that rebound. Man, Brad, that I will say, time has not been kind to Brad since he left Aston Villa. There are just moments where you go, even a couple years ago, right at the end of Aston Villa, he's making that save. He's not spilling that rebound. It just feels like it was like, I'm like, man, that's just not a good goal to give up.
Some wear and tear on the goose, man.
I mean, right. Listen, he gives us balls a bad name. So listen, I don't like to be associated with that pasty man.
Before Stefan, what was with all the American goalkeepers being bald?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have my look. I got the Tim Howard going on here. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like. I like the keeping it fresh, keeping it short. But no, so that after that goal, after Burke, Burke, perfect timing, right place, right time. Burke, that's one thing. Burke's a goal poacher. I mean, he has those instincts. I feel like obviously Sergio is usually the starter because Sergio has a little bit better speed. But Corey comes in and he really is our super sub but it's not like the Elsinio type of super sub. It's kind of that Antoine Hopenote where he's good, or Jack McInerney towards the end where he's gonna probably give you some really solid chances. Even if he doesn't score, he'll at least force the defense to make something. And then listen, you're at what 6 or 7 minutes of stoppage time.
Oof,
Third minute, you have Jamiro lay that off to Glesnes. And as I said, there is about a 10-yard circle around Glesnes, like he had some kind of like force field, and he takes a couple touches. And I don't know what Georgia's gun policies are, but that man had a cannon attached to his leg because that thing was just on court, ripped, and it. I saw someone make a joke that said, a friend of ours who was a Union fan in Atlanta goes, "Thank you for next time Glesnes is launching a rocket, please let me know that before you use my house as a launching pad." And I started laughing because I will say, and Jim said it, I think that goal was better than the LAFC goal.
Yeah.
Because that comes from the run of play.
Yeah.
The LAFC goal was a free kick.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still insane. But Glesnes was 35, 240 out, give or take. And like I said, that thing bounced. And I do find it funny. After it bounces like 2 or 3 times in, that Guzan looks behind him and starts like trying to like take it out. Like I don't know what he thought was gonna happen because that ball was everyone could see it bounce over the line, but I don't think I've ever seen a stadium instantly go silent. You could hear a pin drop, and on the highlights, the only noise I can hear are the probably less than 20 Union fans I know were there. And I'm going like, wow. Like it really takes a stunner like that to silence an insanely large arena like that. And you know what? Listen, would you prefer 3 points? Yes. But a road draw coming back like that against what I would still argue is a pretty solid Atlanta team. It's not a question. Atlanta's going to make the playoffs. Now, I think you're maybe 4 or 5. I think if they can't stop, leaking these late goals, especially like against Nashville, I think losing some of these 2 points every time, you might be towards the bottom of the playoff. But I think they're still going to make the playoffs. I think if Joseph can get into form, that's going to be crucial. But I also think it's clear what Heinz's vision is, and I think these last few years of early on. Listen, Atlanta got the best of the Union, and it was frustrating. But I feel like the last couple years, especially this 2019, it's been a lot more interesting because both teams are in a state of flux. The Union are trending up, and Atlanta is kind of trying. They've plateaued and they're trying to go back up. Still a quality side, but it is way more interesting. And I think it's definitely a rivalry that's starting to really feel itself out because
hold on.
It feels like the coaches hate each other more than the fans do.
I want to get Mark's perspective on that because I'm hearing the Philly side. What do you think about that statement?
About a rivalry? Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a legitimacy to it. I mean, like the easiest way to earn respect from somebody is to beat the pants off them, And Philadelphia's done that. But no, Philadelphia's had some really good quality wins the last couple of years. I mean, of course, Philly, you remember when I was up there with you in 2019. And that experience overall, just like going to Chester and like seeing that stadium and that atmosphere is really cool. And I mean, Philadelphia put in a very credible performance that day. Obviously, I referenced the first leg of the Champions League. So I mean, yeah, I definitely think of rivalries forming. Some animosity never hurts. I love substitute teacher Jim Curtin calling somebody else an asshole. Like What that was shocking to me, but I like it. Like I'd rather have that than the same old boring platitudes between MLS coaches. So it's funny too how they're like they'll talk like they still respect each other, but then be like, he's wrong about this.
So
But
petty, man. It's so
yeah,
funny.
it's
And that's the thing. Like everyone thinks of Jim as this like laid back, reserved, and he is a genuinely nice guy. And having met him, interact with him on various occasions,
Super
he
nice.
is one of the nicest people.
Mhm.
But you see him like those behind the scenes videos and on the field. Jim, like when that whistle blows, Jim is a different person, and you could see what he comes from. You can see that influence of Bob Bradley in him because he like it's not like I'm gonna be an ass and I'm gonna like just scream and scream. It's like, oh, I have those moments where I'm gonna call you an ass. I'm gonna just lose it. The amount of F-bombs I've seen him drop,
right.
and it is like he's got that fire, but it's like you see Bob Bradley on the sideline. It's calm, it's reserved until there's moments where, he'll lose his cool. And I think it's like I will say that's the interesting thing between Jim and Heinze. It's like Heinze is definitely exactly what you expect in a former player who comes from he's the Bielsa school, and Bielsa isn't afraid to speak his mind, and
right.
And I think also it's interesting to see that like Heinze is going to be an interesting coach because I'm curious if there's a record for the amount of yellow cards the coach gets in a season.
Seriously,
because I think whatever it is, Heinze is going to beat it by a ton. But it makes the league more interesting. It's not that high-profile name that you would expect from a coach, but it's a coach that fits the style Atlanta. I mean, that's why Tata was great. Like it was that free-flowing style that worked well. Obviously, DeBoer was a far cry from that. Did not work. And that experiment, I mean, yes, you won an Open Cup, you won Campeones Cup, but it just didn't feel like that was really it. And then you go back to that, the kind of coaching that really made them better. And listen, it's early. You're also having right now, I still think the offense relies just a little too much on Joseph, which will be a problem if he does not get to his form. I think that will be the biggest X factor for Atlanta this season, because I think it's clear that they just don't have that 1-2 punch that they had when Almiron was here. And it is clear. It is clear. They have been trying to replace him now for 3 years, and it has not worked at all.
Yeah. I think this is one thing I've been banging on about. Like, I do feel like LA United, if they are to sign, so they can buy down Alan Franco and free up another DP spot, and I think that they should use that on an attacking midfielder or some sort of forward. Like a player, just an example, I like Roger Martinez a lot. If he were to somehow come to MLS and sign with Atlanta, I would be ecstatic. But I think they need that kind of impact player. Like, because, like Barco isn't quite Miggy. The other midfielders we have isn't quite like Tito Villalba, for example. We don't have like Sosa is great, but we don't have a midfielder quite like Nagby. So like you look at the championship team, and then you look at the roster now, and you look at what's the difference? There are some quality players there, but there's some other players that either we need to find out more about, or quite frankly, maybe just aren't good enough, or are playing a role that's they're too important, So it's like if a better player came in, then like would someone like a Jake Mulroney thrive, for example, in like a super sub role type of, a spark off the bench kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely think this team is a work in progress, to say the least, in terms of getting back to MLS Cup winning type of quality.
Absolutely. Quick question before we let you go. The new kits for Atlanta.
I copped one. I like it. I like the I like the color schemes. So the King Peach, our white and peach jersey, is my personal favorite, and this the Unity kit has the lettering in peach. So I like how the peach looks against the maroon. I love the idea behind it. It's really embarrassing that they misprinted the Hebrew. That's just I don't know.
As someone as a Jewish kid, I found that part really funny because I'm like, there's only select people that are gonna know that's.
Oh, but they pointed it out right away. It was the funny thing. Like as soon as it dropped, they were like, "Oh, that's wrong." And like my thing is, how did it pass all the checkpoints? I would think you would need that to pass in order for a jersey to be approved and printed and sold. Like,
You'd expect that from like a knockoff kit, but not
right?
not a legit kit.
Yeah. But no, I like it. I'm gonna take it to For the Culture. Let them do like a name set, make it really unique.
Very nice.
Yeah. So, but no, I mean, I like it.
September 25th. We'll see you up here.
Maybe. I'll keep you posted.
Hey, listen. There's a beer from the beer garden with your name on it. If you're coming up here, listen. That Johnny knows it's a great place to hang around. So
yeah, I didn't realize we come up there in September. That actually, you've put a thought in my head, Philly.
I believe we play you guys one more time, which would be in Chester. Let me double check.
Yeah.
December 25th. Yep. Of course, Google still names it PPL Park. We love that for us. But absolutely. Mark, where can people find you, my man?
You can find me at Nicholsodian, NICHOLLSODEON. It's the same on Instagram and Twitter. That's where I mainly stay. So come on.
Hey. Do us a favor, Mark. Let everyone at Atlanta United Fan TV, sorry, that we said hello and DOOP.
I don't know about the second part.
My brother, it's always a pleasure talking to you. We'll definitely catch up later on. All right, my man.
All right, peace.
All right, love you, man. See you. Ladies and gentlemen, Marc Nicholls. It's good talking to him, but yes, it's definitely a great point to pick up the way we did it. And Justin, we're off. We're coming back home to a full capacity. Dude, you realize the last time we had a full capacity was the magical afternoon in Chester, Pennsylvania, when we beat the Red Bull in our first ever playoff win, and this is going to be the first game back. Dude,
as Liam would say, it's coming home.
It's coming home. It's coming. I don't want to get to that to the atmosphere tomorrow because we're going to get to that in a little bit. But so this Columbus Crew team, right? Look, these guys are the real deal. They are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference in the MLS. It's for a reason. They have a great style, great coach. I thought Lucas Zelarayan, that was an absolute beautiful performance in the MLS Cup playoffs last year. And this is going to be a tough challenge. Now, if you guys have not yet, I will share it here. Do yourself the favor, especially if you are a Union fan. Go check out Tim Lovinguth's article on PSN here. It's great. It's his preview up on here, and he's got all his predictions on here and all the great little facts. But of course, the title of the article is very telling. Justin, can the Union beat the Crew for the first time since 2019? It's crazy to think that we didn't beat them last year, but this is a tough team, and they just got done obviously taking care of Chicago. Most people do take care of Chicago, but it was really a great game by Zardes. But these guys have firepower, and they got some good star players. But tomorrow should be a lot of fireworks. I want to ask you, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? How do we beat the Crew?
So that's always an interesting question because with the way Caleb Porter sets up that team, him and Jim Curtin are very similar styles. Now, Columbus is not really a high press, but they're still really tough. Like they are not afraid to sit in. They love possession, but they're not afraid to sit in and and smother the ball. And the biggest thing is getting through Darlington Nagbe. Darlington Nagbe and Lucas Zelarayan are the two players, and I've said it every time that we've played them. You gotta shut down Zelarayan. You gotta give him absolutely no time and space, and you gotta shut down Nagbe. Because what Nagbe does, he's that deep line regista. He's that passer. He will pick out a 20-yard pass to Zelarayan, and then Zelarayan takes that and looks and finds Zardes on a run, or they find Etienne Jr. on the wing. Like you gotta sever that connection, and if you don't, then Columbus is going to run all day. And I think at home, again, especially after that, and I think there's going to be a little bit of rotation, given that obviously, unfortunately, Anthony Fontana suffered a concussion. But I do believe Sergio will still be good to go. I believe outside of that, I believe Gazdag and I believe the only, and DeVries are really the only. So you still have most of your attacking options. I think it's gonna be an interesting game to see how that midfield's rotated. It does bring a lot of question of like, do you throw in a Jack McGlynn? Do you throw in a Quinn Sullivan? Does Paxton get that start that we've been talking about?
Don't get us so excited, Justin.
I am curious too that it looks like Matt Real might even feature. From what Jim said, Matt Real, he loves him as
a shuttler,
as a shuttler or a left-sided center back in a back three. So I don't think Jim's going to switch up the formation, but who knows? I think that'll be the key. I mean, it's really that it's always the midfield for me. It's that midfield that really is the biggest factor.
Right. I mean, just the fact that we won't have El Brujo, we won't have Gazdak, we won't have Fontana, definitely does leave it thin. But I mean, we're fine at the 10, at the 6. It's really that left shuttler position. You're right. I mean, I like what Matt Real did in his couple of outings out there. He came on the sub on. I think it was more for Champions League, but he's fine in that position, and he doesn't really. He's got less responsibility. There's more responsibility to play out wide. And Jack McGlynn, listen, he pressed in his couple of games that he played in, but it wasn't nothing spectacular. And I'm worried about a quality team like Columbus. If we do start Jack McGlynn, they would take advantage of that weakness there, just pressuring him. But it's definitely gonna be tough, and it's really gonna take all 90 minutes. It's gonna be one of those games. It's always like that with Columbus, and we're just have to find a way to find themselves just feeling themselves a little too much. Get them into those traps. We always know when we don't dominate possession, we always find a way to get the ball back, and we always find a way to score some goals that way as well. But what do you see happening tomorrow?
I don't know if there's gonna be a lot of rotation because I think that's what Chicago will be for. It's gonna be a very low scoring game. These games
they usually are
typically. It's either gonna be a 1-1 or a 2-1. If it's a victory, it's a 1 goal. There's not much separating. I want to say this will be a victory, and if so, it would. I'm going to go. I might be a 1-0 win. It is going to be an ugly game, and I'm not even confident in the 1-0 win. I think it could be a 0-0 draw, just because these games with Columbus, I said, are ugly. It's never pretty. It's just how they operate, and now I feel much better being at home. Yes, I think. I mean, we didn't win last year, but that's also because for some reason we played both games at Columbus. I still don't understand that, but that is whatever. And I think it's going to be a really interesting game because it is a battle of the midfields. It is which midfield, which creative force is going to win. And it's almost, I mean, you saw it in the first game. It's a negating effect. These teams are each other's kryptonite. It's just that's how they operate.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it'll be exciting though. It'll be exciting. And the most important part, the edge that we will have, Justin, is we will have a full capacity for
Oh
fans
my
to come
god,
back home.
I can't even believe that. Like I am so excited about it, a full capacity stadium, even for a midweek game.
Oh,
It's just like it's yeah. It has been what, a year and a half since we've had any kind of full capacity,
Yeah.
and that stadium, even for a midweek game, could be rocking.
It could be. It could be. And the best part about full capacity games, Justin, we get great fans in the stands, like the guests we're about to bring on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the lovely Devan Kaney on the Dupe by the River. Devan, what's going on?
Hi! Oh my God, guys! Thanks for having me.
Of
What
course,
an entrance!
that's what I do. It's
Introduction,
all about
I
the
swear.
energy. It's
Of
all
course.
about the energy. And you bring the energy with the shirt. I love it.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay, I this is like the practice jersey, right?
Right, the warm up.
Yeah. I'm practicing. I'm warming up for tomorrow. Tomorrow I get to do the real thing.
All right, so you are Dawn now a 6 for 6 fan. We gotta show respect to the Wings here.
Mhm.
You have
yeah.
Dawn, you have Dawn now the 6 for 6 life. So how is the 6 for 6 life treating you? How have you been getting into the union now?
Okay, so I've always loved soccer. I used to play it. I wasn't that great at it. But like the World Cup is one of my favorite sporting events ever. Mainly the women's. Recently, just because U.S. national team.
Dominant.
Because but yeah, and I've always been intrigued by the union, and we actually had an intern at the NLL last year who's a massive fan, and he would travel with us when we went on shoots. And I remember, I think it was the Union were playing in Seattle, and Seattle's stadium was like completely packed. I think Seattle or Portland, one somewhere in the Pacific.
It could be either, because both of those guys know how to show off for sure.
Yeah. Both stadiums are packed to the gills.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then I knew last year the Union did really well. So especially now that the Sixers are done, I'm ready to get on board.
Well, Devan, you bring up a good point there with the Sixers season being done. We started this episode discussing the landscape of Philly sports. Like, we would love to be part of the talk of Philly sports. We know how Philly sports do work, and there is the stigma. This can only be a 4-sport city. I did wanted to congratulate, while I have you here, it was a great week you did with the Monkey Miss show.
Thank you.
Just seeing you on TV was so surreal. But listen, I love Mikey Miss too, and I've told you, like, I've listened to that show since I was a teenager, and there are shows like Mikey Miss, Cataldi, Gargano, you name it.
Yeah,
they know that they steer away from that.
Yeah,
Devan, can this city truly be a 5-6 sports city? Can we expand here?
Yeah, I think it can be a more than 6 sports city. I mean, I have said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm surprised Philly doesn't have a WNBA team and a women's soccer team. We should.
We brought that up with Renee Washington, and we were all like, where is this? Like, this we had the Independence, we had the Charge.
Yeah,
we've had women's soccer in this city before, but not really in the city. So it's definitely time for it.
I think working for the NLL and watching the other teams, like you go to cities even like Buffalo, where they have really passionate fans up there, and Buffalo shows up for their lacrosse team, like the Bandits, which is Buffalo's NLL team, made it to the finals in 2019. Packed stadium, I went out to a bar and like I said, I work in the NLL, and everyone's like, oh my God, go Bandits. And I just remember thinking, like, Philly can be like this for sports other than the Eagles and Sixers and Phillies. Because I do feel like even the Flyers could use a little bit more support. And it's shocking because we're so passionate. Like, our fans are the most passionate fans I've ever met in my life. I know I'm biased, but like anyone can tell you that. And the fact that our passion kind of is only limited to the big teams is kind of infuriating and confusing to me. So I think we have a lot more fandom to give. So Philly, show up and advocate for more professional women's teams.
Oh yeah, I mean the reason why I don't really watch the WNBA or the NWSL is because I don't have that team in Philadelphia. I don't really watch the NFL, the NBA. Like I don't really casually just watch the Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals if the Sixers aren't in there.
Right.
I
Same.
I watch my teams and I don't have that here, so I definitely agree with you there. What is it? What Devin? What do you think it is? Like why do these guys like shy? Because the Union, listen, they won. Like they brought a trophy for the first time since the Super Bowl. They're in the semifinals of a North American competition. What is it that these guys still just be like, no, we're not watching this crap? Like, what is that?
I don't know. And I wonder that too. I think a lot of it has to do with coverage. So the Wings last season were on NBC Sports Philly, which was huge. I also just keep talking about the Wings and NLL because that's like my closest, experience.
Oh no, I love it. I used to have season tickets with my dad back in the day before they moved. So trust me, you are. I play lacrosse. It's right up my alley.
Yeah, and like once they're back next season, you definitely should go back. I think that's the other part about lacrosse, at least, is they were gone. The Wings didn't exist for a few years, then they came back, and then the pandemic hit. So hopefully, now that we're like fully back, everyone will kind of catch on. But I think it's a lot about coverage and exposure. I think if you're trying to watch a soccer game and it's only available, and this is completely hypothetical, but it's only available on like a streaming platform, people aren't going to watch that. Where you go to a bar in Philly and they have NBC Sports Philly on, and they always have, Phillies, Sixers. So I think it's just getting it out there more. And I know the MLS, like in recent years as a whole across the country, not just in Philly, has really just blown up because they're on ESPN. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that I don't want to like blame anyone in particular. I think, like you mentioned radio hosts, I think they could talk about these other sports more, but it's kind of like a vicious cycle because like they don't talk about it because their producers tell them not to talk about it, and their producers tell them not to talk about it because they don't think listeners want to hear about it. So it's just like a constant cycle that we need to break.
But Devin, you talk about the blame game. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. And Johnny knows my feelings about single entity and the way that this league operates under it's single entity stuff it's a whole complicated nonsense of we're all the same and we're all getting the same, and the TV rights have been awful, and the news with some and U.S. Soccer splitting their partnership, which does affect the TV rights going, I believe, not the 2026, but I believe after that. So the TV rights deals are coming up. And with the union, you talk about coverage, they're on PHL 17. It's because it's the most affordable option for them right now. They used to be on ABC more. They used to occasionally be on NBC Sports Philly. And that's the thing. There are certain teams that get this coverage. And, Philadelphia, for all I love about this city and I love about the Union, we feel like a small market despite being one of the biggest media markets in the country. And I think that's the biggest thing is you see the popularity of, you see Serginho Dest and Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie. You see the explosion of the youth on this men's national team. You see the women's national team bossing everybody around. I mean, let's be honest. They are the most dominant force in professional sports, and there is no second even remotely close to it. Mm-hmm. And you look at all this and go, why isn't soccer getting more coverage? Like on ESPN, the only time that I've seen the Union is either Andre Blake making a crazy save or Jakob Glesnes pulling what he did against Atlanta and, detaching his foot and, attaching Nos to it and just launching that ball into the top corner. Like it feels like it takes extraordinary moments when it's like,
right.
This is the most popular sport in the world.
Well, so it's funny because I think it was over the weekend. I had ESPN on, and in Atlanta, MLS game was on, and their crowd was insane. And I was just like, "How do we get that? Like, how
should we tell her, Justin? Should we tell her about Atlanta?" What? All right, so Devin, I don't know if you know, but so
Atlanta, I probably don't know.
Atlanta United share the Benz with the Falcons.
Because it's the same owner. Arthur Blank is the owner of both teams. Yes. So
they outsell them almost every game.
Oh, handsomely! Like they crush Atlanta's attendance. Like
The Falcons-
Atlanta United set the MLS record for largest attendance when I think what was it like 70-something thousand,
like 77.
and they
Oh
packed
my
that
God.
into the gills. The Falcons don't even get remotely close
They're
to.
lucky
You
to
talk
get
to
30 or 40. Like they're lucky.
Yeah, if you're talking to anyone in Atlanta United has quickly become the most
That's the
popular
Hawks,
team
right?
in that. Well, yeah, right now besides the Hawks, but they've clearly become like almost number one.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
insane.
So this is what's infuriating, Devin. So I went to Atlanta for 2019 for the Union match. I go down there. I'm in the Uber. They put sports radio on. They're literally talking about Atlanta United problems. They're talking.
Yeah.
They're previewing the Union match on a live sports station in Atlanta. You go everywhere. There's Atlanta United posters here and there. At the time, Josef Martinez was the biggest athlete in Atlanta. You see billboards of him everywhere. And I go into Philadelphia, and people don't. There's like
Nothing.
60% of the city that doesn't even know who the Union are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that type of stuff. That's why I got into the 4 other sport coverage because of that type of. Because I know how the Philly sport fan works. I know how we are. We're always looking for the winning team. And it's funny, this winning team isn't getting that type of coverage, but
We're the only winning team at this point.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. But it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
No, it is. It is. And like I've wondered it so often. I think like a lot of it does, like I mentioned, come down to media rights. But I think a lot of it also comes down to Philly fans just being kind of stuck in their ways. Like we know how we are, and they don't
No, that never.
think about. I mean, look, we've had the same staples on radio, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but like Angelo Cataldi's been on the radio for so long, and I'm not saying he should go off of it, but he probably has spoken about the Union. I can't say that, but he has probably never spoken about the Union. So like, I just think I feel like it'll change probably in the next 5 to 10 years for sure. I know that's a little far away, but
no,
yeah.
I envision that too. Like 5-10 years, like MLS will start becoming normalized. It'll like a lot of markets will be like 5 for 5 or whatever they want it to be. I mean, even cities like Detroit or Pittsburgh don't have MLS cities too, and those are strong sports.
But the thing, Johnny, and then I think about that, and it's why I think Devin, you're right with that growth in the next 5 to 10 years is because it's people, it's people our age, it's the younger kids. It's soccer is becoming more prevalent because of the ability to catch YouTube highlights of Serginho Dest tricking over defenders and passing it to Messi, and Messi's a name they recognize. And you talk about Detroit doesn't have a team, but they have an NPSL team. They have lower leagues and lower league soccer. And as John knows, I love a good soccer jersey. And if it's a non-MLS team, I will gladly purchase that jersey because I believe, especially in supporting lower leagues, I think it's a crucial way to help grassroots, to help this sport grow in the country. But you look at some of these teams, like prime example, one of the biggest teams on social media in this country is Forward Madison.
That is true.
They're a USL League 2 team, and you're down there, and you're like their social media team is crazy. And I have their Pride kit. It was amazing. Every time they jersey, I'm like, I really got to buy that.
Their marketing is fantastic.
The marketing is great, and the lower the divisions are marketing great, and that is what I think is starting to help propel this sport.
That's so important. Yeah,
it is starting from the bottom and working up, and I think it's helping to to fund these academies to start to really break down this pay for play structure in this country. Which, if you look at Zlatan, one of the biggest superstars in international sports, when he came to this country, he went, if I had to pay for play in soccer, I would have never made it.
Right.
Because it would have been impossible. And you start to see the more that we start to tap into these other markets and it becomes more accessible, the sport will grow. And I believe in the next 5 to 10 years, soccer will overtake a bunch of sports in this country because it is just at the precipice where it cannot stop its growth. It just is going to keep going.
Yeah, no, for sure. So A couple points to that. First of all, I've said it once, I'll say it always. Soccer uniforms are hands down and I don't even know if you call it uniforms, kits, whatever, are the most attractive, like looking. Like I would wear a soccer jersey over a basketball, football, hockey jersey
because it's accessible streetwear. That's the design of it.
Yeah.
It can be worn regularly anywhere.
And it's not like a practice jersey. But also, so I don't know if you guys know this, the commissioner of the NLL, the National Lacrosse League, used to rep the Union.
Yes, he had an unceremonious exit.
I know.
From the Union. So we all love Nick. Yeah, for what he did to help start this.
He meant well.
Yeah, we meant well. We will always give him that.
He always meant well.
That aside, I know the NLL like looks at the MLS as almost kind of like a precedent because they're both growing sports that hope to overcome, other sports that are kind of dying down, like baseball. And I think a big thing you hit the nail on the head with is grassroots marketing and getting in at like a youth level and getting like kids involved, because lacrosse is trying to do that. Like the Wings always hold clinics for kids, and like when you go to a Wings game, you look around and most of the fans are like parents with their kids. And then like younger, like millennial Gen Zs. But something that I found, I know I mentioned how Buffalo fans for, lacrosse were just like really passionate. There are several other cities that have like insane fan bases and sell out their arenas all the time. And I noticed something that they do is, and I know Buffalo is different because they're all under the same Pegula ownership, so it's easier. But all of their other pro sports rep their lacrosse team. So like the Buffalo Bills, like when they're walking into the tunnel, they'll be wearing like a Bandits hat. And I feel like I never see that from Philly athletes. Like I never see, and I know they're under different ownership, but like I never saw Carson Wentz walking in with a Union shirt on,
I think it's right now it's like Boston Scott, I think is like the only one current Philadelphia athlete who, and maybe Joel, because of how much he's into soccer.
They do give out a lot of free jerseys. I do.
Yeah, like there are like a couple athletes that are like the only ones where I'm like, I can see it. Boston Scott's the most vocal because he's been more consistent about it.
Yeah, I think I've seen some athletes repping, soccer or lacrosse, whatever, but it's just not like all the time like I see in other markets like Buffalo.
So let me ask you, Devin. So tomorrow it's your first day. It's like the first day of school.
Oh my God.
At the SUB. First off, how do you feel in anticipation of tomorrow?
I'm nervous. I literally had crowdsourced. My friends were laughing at me. Because like literally none of my personal friends who I'm going to some of them to this game tomorrow like are on Twitter. So I'm like, guys, I crowdsourced information for us. And I send like paragraphs. I'm like, do not under any circumstances wear red. Just say DOOP all the time. This song is the word DOOP over and over again.
I saw that thread.
That is so funny.
I saw everyone's responses, and a lot of them Union Twitter can be pretty small, and I saw and I'm like, yeah, no, they're not wrong. I think I kind of too. I'm just like, just enjoy. I'm like that.
Yeah,
which I did see. Are you going to be stopping by the Sons of Ben?
Absolutely.
Tomorrow. Devin. Shouts to Devin from the Sons of Ben pod, and also the Tailgate Master. They're breaking out the new pizza oven that they got. So they will be making some pizzas. So
oh my God, yeah, I'm excited for that. Wait, will you be there?
I will be there. I will say this. As I said, people, this head is not hard to notice. I'll have a headband, but as I tell Johnny, it is. I'm not a hard person to notice.
Okay.
Devin, Justin will tell you. So like Union match days, I'm like, I don't stop moving.
Oh yeah, Johnny will be walking around, and he has his
everywhere.
Little GoPro, and he has.
We upgraded now. We have an actual camera though. Actually, it's funny. The GoPro's still next to me. I haven't used this in like a year and a half, but yeah.
Yeah, Johnny walks around. It is like you will get dizzy just trying to keep up with him.
Oh my God, I love it.
Get my steps in, man. Get my steps in. Yeah. So, what do you know about the Union? I wanted to ask that as well.
Okay, so I actually had a question for you guys. So I know that they are good.
It took a while.
But like what are, and I know that Columbus are the reigning champions.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's at stake in this game tomorrow and what should I watch for?
That's a good question. So it's a midweek game. So they played Sunday and they're playing again Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a bit of squad rotation. Right now, the Union since like early May, since the CCL run, have been on the up. Columbus, after a bit of a rough start, they've had a lot of injuries, but they just ended what was Montfray Stadium. It's now historic. It was historic Crew Stadium. They're moving into a new stadium. They tore it down. 2-0 win. They've been playing better. It's a test of two similar styles. And I said it earlier. The biggest thing is whose midfield is going to dominate, because Columbus has Darlington Nagbe, arguably one of the best deep line passers in the game, and Lucas Zelarayan is just unreal. I mean, if you watch the MLS Cup final last year, if you watch his 2 free kick goals against NYCFC this year, the man just pulls, rabbits out of a hat and is unreal. And Giassi Zardes, who people know I'm not a giant fan of, but the man as a striker puts the ball in the back of the net regularly.
Put the USMNT bias away, Justin.
Well, yes, that is. I am showing a bit of my men's national team bias because I don't think he's a great international striker, but he's a great league striker. No, the biggest thing is going to be it's two teams that play identical. It might be a very ugly game. Your first soccer game might be.
Oh no! You think they're going to lose?
Well, I say ugly in terms of it's not going to be pretty soft.
Be a barn burner.
Yeah,
okay.
it's one of those drag out, knockdown kind of fights where it's.
I feel like that's how all soccer matches are.
There are some. I mean, the Union play right now more of a free flowing, counterattacking style, but if they want to, they can slow a game down and they can really drag it out, and so can Columbus.
Okay.
And when you have two teams like that, it can make for some slow error soccer than normal.
Pretty much, Devin. These are two of the top Eastern Conference teams. So it's like like if the Sixers play the Bucks, in a regular season game, it's obviously going to be really exciting. Both teams want to show what they kind of have. So it's going to be a close game, and it might be a game that does come all the way down to the wire. The Union will be without Anthony Fontana, who is a local kid. He was going to show what he has because he's kind of fell out of graces a little bit because there's some new players that are coming in. So you might see some of the younger kids, that the famous homegrown kids. You might see a lot of those kids, but I really feel like they're just going to feed off of the environment. This is going to be the first full capacity game since our first playoff win in 2019. And it's going to feel different for us fans. I mean, for myself, like the whole no mask thing in a stadium, it's a little weird, obviously. But it's gonna feel right, like seeing people like Justin and people like I saw in 2019 that supported me back in those days. It'll be a day of jubilation for sure tomorrow night, and we're all definitely excited. We're ready. I'm excited to see you enjoy your first game too.
I know I think is actually going to be my first full capacity sporting event without a mask or anything in over a year. I think I went to one Eagles game back last season, but it was like weird. It was like very like few people, just not great.
I would just watch the Philly sports guys TikToks. Like that's very different.
yeah. Okay, wait. I have a few more questions for you.
Fire away.
I know I'm your guest, but I'm asking you guys questions.
I love it.
What time do I get to the tailgate?
Okay, so the tailgate. So the tailgate, it's at least on a normal day. If it was like a Saturday, they would be starting at least
early
3 or 4 hours prior to game time. I think tomorrow's is going to be like 5 to 7. They usually try to wrap up about a half hour prior to kickoff. It's not a hard lot to miss. It's right across from the practice field. It's a big gravelly lot right on the river. So it's not a hard lot to miss. But yeah, 5 to 7 I think it's tomorrow.
Okay. That's good because I'm trying to coordinate with my other friends and everyone because it's a Wednesday. Everyone's like, well, I have to work. Do we bring anything, our own?
Bring your own beverages. You can.
Like how lit do people get at Union games?
It's Philly sports, so
yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say there's some memories. St. Patty's Day 2018 was a rough one for me. That's one I don't talk about much anymore. But no, in a midweek game, it's relatively. I mean, yeah, with the Sons of Ben lot, there is you have the trailer where they have various beers.
Do we have kegs? Do we still have kegs?
Yeah, they have the trailer. The trailer, it's
right.
They have usually, I think, at least like 4 or 5 beers on tap. They got a lot of stuff from local, basically ones that help support us. Usually, it's I think Yards and 2SP right now. Occasionally, we'll have some small local, like they had a keg of a beer from Zed's Brewing in Marlton, and that's the owners there are both Sons of Ben members, so it's always neat. Usually on a day, there's usually like cookout, there's food. Like I said, they just got the pizza oven, so that's one thing they're excited to test
burgers
out.
And dogs. Nice.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. Midweek games, midweek tailgates are always a little different, but it's honestly it's pretty laid back. Music's playing. People are just sitting around talking. It's fun. It's fun vibes. That's all we bring. It's just relaxing.
I wouldn't expect too many people getting bombed on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday, no. I would say I'm gonna try to be. I'm flying out to Chicago the next morning, so I'm gonna try to be pretty reasonable.
Okay.
Devin, I also want to recommend definitely do the tailgate with Sons of Ben, but also do yourself the favor, check out the Larimer Brewery, which is also next to the practice field, but on the other side, kind of like when you come in. That's been there since 2019 as well. It's a great addition to like the game day experience. Like we'd never had a bar or anything to kind of go to, especially for like the away fans. And they have I've never had a bad beer there. Like they make all the beer there in house, and it's just a great addition there. So definitely before or after, a lot of people do go after, especially if we win. So definitely do yourself a favor, check out the Larimer Brewery as well. But there's always something to do down there.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely will. I think, my last question. So the Union sent me this jersey and then like an actual jersey. Which one do I wear tomorrow?
It's really up to you. I'm assuming the jersey they sent you was the blue one, the BY, the one with the lightning bolts. This year's away kit.
It's just like navy blue.
Oh, she got the last.
Oh, she got the DOOP hoops. She got the DOOP hoops, which will be going away next year when they do the new home jersey. Honestly, that's up to you. I like to kind of mix it up. I usually try to go with whatever one they've either been winning with or they've had better success. I'm a little superstitious, being a soccer player myself. I tend to be on the slightly superstitious side.
Okay.
But hey, it's whatever. I've also seen people that match their jerseys with their outfits. I don't have that much to match together, so mine's usually kind of haphazardly looking. But if you got shorts and shoes that go with it, hey,
all right,
let's go. It's something. Like I said, a soccer jersey can complement an outfit. It's it's how you ought to. It can. If you want to go, like I usually sometimes go all navy blue, and it's a real solid look. Some people go bright as all heck, and it's whatever you feel comfortable with. That's what I tell people. You do you.
Okay, good.
Devin, you know me. I already have an outfit picked out. I have the old outfits picked out in my head. So, but definitely dress comfy. It's supposed to be nice tomorrow night, right? It's supposed to be
it's supposed to be. It's been a bit cooler this week, which is surprising for end of June.
Yeah, it could be sometimes like especially like those early of the season matches where it's like March and like my first ever Union match as at Barcelona Philly, I went in just a hoodie and Under Armour under. I regretted that whole night.
Oh, in March, that's that, or like in July. I remember one July, it was against the Fire, and it was one of the hottest days. And
Yeah.
I had been at a pool and I was tailgating, and like halftime, I almost passed out from heat exhaustion because it was like it was one of the muggiest days on record. So yeah, I would always say dress pretty comfortably and stuff that like if you were, I always say like dress like I'm going to the gym, because if it's really warm, you want to feel really somewhat comfortable.
Yeah, for sure. I always say like any sporting event, like even early season Eagles games, I would way rather be cold at a sporting event. There's nothing like even yesterday, I was like, thank God it's not going to be like this on Wednesday and you're just sitting there sweating. Ugh. I'm glad it's going to be nice tomorrow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Devin, seriously, thank you so much for coming on in.
Thanks for having me.
We're honored. We're honestly honored to have you on here. You are just such a positive, bright light. Every time I see you on social media, you just have this big smile, and it gives like a sense of positivity, something we do in Philadelphia here right now. So seriously, thank you so much, Devin.
Thank you. This was so much fun, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Of course. We'll see you tomorrow. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Devan Kaney. That is Justin Bag Balds against Guzan. I am El Parcero Philly, and we are telling you guys to DOOP on. We'll talk to you guys Thursday.